Come here, little bug. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to Kraven the Hunter. Kind of making this like Aaron Taylor Johnson week, eh? Kraven the Hunter is a movie based on the Spider-Man villain, but it doesn't have Spider-Man. This is another one of Sony's attempts to make these kind of Spider-Man adjacent movies with these villains and kind of turn them into like almost anti-heroes. And it's like it's weird. It's weird that Sony was doing this, and it's like I think they've said that they're done with this kind of thing after all of these like failures. But it's one of those cases where why were they doing it in the first place? Why would you make a movie about a Spider-Man villain without Spider-Man? But the thing is, I know why. Because of the Joker movie. Todd Phillips made the Joker movie, without Batman, technically, even though Bruce Wayne was in it. But, although it wasn't even the same Joker in that movie. It was like kind of a prototype for the Joker. But point is, they made the movie, and so Sony's like, okay, we own all these rights. Let's do the same kind of thing. People seem to like the Joker movie. Let's do that again with this. And people loved the Joker movie because it was well written. It was interesting. It was a very interesting new take on the character. The problem is Sony, I don't know what it is. They just didn't know how to do this right. Like, they just made these movies, and it's like, why? Because these movies, like, just didn't make a lot of sense. Morbius was just not good. It wasn't as bad as some people were saying, but it wasn't good. I haven't seen Madam Web, so I can't say about that, but nobody liked that. And this movie did really bad as well. And it's like, yeah, the Venom movies did good, but they have a very mixed reception. There's some people who, because of how Venom is so intrinsically linked to Spider-Man in the comics and the other shows and stuff, there are some people who are just really against those movies and think that they kind of like hurt the origin of Venom and everything. And then there's those of us who are just like, the first movie's still okay. It's like, even without Spider-Man, it's like, it still is fine as a movie. The second movie is like absolute dog shit, but that's because it doesn't know how to do Carnage, and it tried to make it PG-13, which a Carnage movie should never be. And I haven't seen Last Dance, so. But today we're talking about Kraven the Hunter. And this is a donation award for Venom. Let me talk you through my thoughts on Kraven. So, growing up, like, I've seen, like, not only the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and eventually the Amazing Spider-Man movies by Mark Webb, but I've seen, like, cartoons and stuff and all kinds of Spider-Man media. And I've known of Kraven the Hunter. But in terms of Spider-Man villains, he always felt like a weak link. Like, Kraven was never on the level of, like, the Green Goblin or Doc Ock or Venom, as another, major example there. Even the Lizard was more interesting to me growing up. And Kraven just felt like a B-lister to me. And I just never really could get into him. And when the Spider-Man 2 game was announced, and it was made clear that the villain, or one of the villains for it, was going to be Kraven the Hunter, my thoughts were, okay, we'll see what they can do. I'm not like super hyped about this, though I'm super hyped about Venom being in it, but we'll see what they can do. And then the game came out, and I mean, I didn't play it right away. I only played it when I got my PS5 because it was a package deal with it. But I played it, and it's like, oh shit, I really love. I combined like and love there. I really love this. This is a good Kraven. This game made Kraven cool, and not just cool, but extremely intimidating and extremely interesting. It gave him a lot of like extra depth and character that I don't believe he had before. And so the game made me love Kraven, a character that I otherwise saw as, a B-lister. And this movie came out and I hadn't seen it, and I like Aaron Taylor Johnson. But can he like make me care about Kraven this much as well? Cuz here's the thing about Kraven. So Kraven, his entire thing is that he is a hunter, and he is trying to hunt the most dangerous game. He wants to like hunt the most dangerous, the most um combative, the most like just overall unique game. And that doesn't just include animals. That includes people too, and superheroes. This is why he goes after the likes of Spider-Man, because he sees Spider-Man as a true challenge, someone to give him the thrill of the hunt. And so Kraven utilizes hunting skills to do that. And usually it's like pretty basic hunting skills, but in the video game he uses some more like high-tech stuff as well. Modernized the hunting and everything, which is fine as long as it still stays true to the character, which I feel like it did. Um I don't know what he's going to do in this movie though. Cuz I know this movie is like an origin story kind of thing, and I know it's trying to like build this entire backstory with him. Um, I know his like I believe his brother is in this, who is Chameleon, and his father I believe is in this as well. And I do know that they try to make him into an anti-hero in this, which is weird, but okay. My big thing with this movie is outside of just okay, is it good? Is it well written, etc., etc.? Does it feel like Kraven the Hunter? That's going to be the big thing. Because even if the movie is well written, even if Aaron Taylor Johnson does a great job, which I think he will either way, the movie has to feel like it's a Kraven the Hunter movie. Because if they get that just basic aspect wrong, it ruins everything, no matter how good the writing is otherwise. Like, you're basing this on a character who has a very specific vibe to him. And so you have to get that vibe right. That is like, that is the base, like, level of quality you have to reach here for this to work. And we'll see how that goes. I'm nervous about this film because of how Morbius was. And there was a degree that Morbius was like kind of like one of those so bad it's good kind of movies where it's like, oh, this is bad, but in a fun, entertaining way. And if the same thing happens here, I think I can be okay with that. But again, I want it to at least still feel like it's about Kraven the Hunter. I don't want it to feel like they're just completely changing the character. Excuse me. So, I guess we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see where it goes and how they handle it and what they do with it. I'll just say, last thing I'll say before we get this going is I'm not like the biggest like source of information for Kraven lore. So there's a lot of this that I don't know if it's going to be super comic accurate or not. Most of my knowledge does come from the video game and then like some old cartoons and stuff. So it's like if there's lore here that is accurate or isn't accurate, I might not realize if it is or not. But that being said, let's get this going and see what we have in store. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this is a really interesting film, because obviously this film did abysmally with critics. It has like a rare 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, mind you, as always, take with a grain of salt, form your own opinions. But while this did abysmally enough to basically destroy Sony's Spider-Man adjacent movie project it was doing and dash any hopes of this having like a sequel and stuff, fans apparently didn't have the same reception. Because again, on Rotten Tomatoes, and this is, let me get this back up here, according to over 2,500 verified reviews, has a 72% with fans. A 15% with critics, but 72% with fans. Which means that fans just didn't see the hatred this had. Like, maybe some fans really didn't like it. Some fans really even maybe hated it. But for the most part, it was overwhelmingly very positive. It wasn't like the best of the best, but still. And I'm on the fan side. This movie was not like amazing or anything, but it wasn't bad. Like, I'm watching this movie waiting for it to actually get bad, and I'm like, when does this get bad? Like, sure, some of the effects aren't amazing, but, you know, I don't really go into it for that. Like, I didn't go into this movie expecting, like, the greatest special effects ever. This isn't Avatar or anything. No. I went into this expecting, you know, a fun comic book movie, and honestly, I got a fun comic book movie. Honestly, better than I expected, considering all the hate this film supposedly gets from critics. I'm like, there's some things that are weird here, and there's some overcrowding for sure, and some things that are like kind of like, okay, what are they doing with this? And then they don't do much of anything with it. It's not perfect by any means, but I don't understand the hate. I don't get it. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things, because I wanted to look up a couple of the characters, because I wasn't sure, like, oh, are these characters from the comics? They are. The Foreigner, first of all, is a character from the comics who is commonly married to Silver Sable, which makes a lot of sense, considering who he is. Though he normally doesn't have any kind of powers. He's normally just like peak human fitness and everything. He has like peak human strength and natural ability and whatnot. He doesn't normally have power, so I don't know what the power thing in this was. It was never explained either. It was just something he could do. Like, it wasn't even explained as like, oh, he's using some kind of mental trick to like make himself like seem like he's moving faster or something. No, I don't know what the heck was going on with that. I don't know. Um, and then Calypso is a comic book character as well, another supervillain for Spider-Man, and the occasional partner and wife of Kraven. Makes sense, does it not? Um, and that's one thing I do want to talk about here. Let's talk about Calypso real quick. So she saved Kraven when they were kids and everything. She's the one who like has this potion, the one that gives him his powers, quote unquote, his basically just enhanced physical abilities and senses. It's something that she inherited through her family and everything, and when they were kids, mind you, she just got a vial from her grandmother. But we see here that they're playing with the idea of her and Kraven being a couple, but they never commit to it. And that I was waiting for something to happen with that, and it just never did. They never committed to actually making them a couple, and never committed to actually like having that kind of relationship between them. It basically instead came across as them being more like business partners in this. And it's like, and it felt weird because it felt like it was setting up for them to be a couple, and it just, again, it never committed to it. And I feel like that's the biggest problem this movie does have, is that it just doesn't commit enough to the things it sets up. I mentioned this in the reaction with the Rhino as well. They set up the Rhino, they build up his abilities. He turns full Rhino for maybe 5 minutes max. It's literally a single short scene. It's like, that's disappointing. It's like, yeah, the effects weren't amazing for that, but it's like you still could have had him on screen longer. Did you shorten his screen time because of the effects, or because you didn't want to put a lot of money into those effects? Is that it? It just felt like kind of a waste, honestly. And I mean, I might be in a minority here. I actually liked his Rhino design. Like, I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked like pretty fun and very comic booky, honestly. Even if it's not how the Rhino usually is in the comics, he normally wears this enhancement suit and everything. But still, it's like, I don't mind changes. I've talked about this with the MCU a lot. I don't mind when they change things as long as the changes work. Because there's obviously a lot of things that are different here. And there is one change in this movie I think does not work. And I think it's the only change that really I have an issue with. Craven suddenly being some kind of animal rights guy, some like really caring about like animals and not hunting animals and everything. And this kind of goes into like his entire like being an anti-hero, being a vigilante instead of a villain. Though I guess the idea is he's kind of become a villain by the end. But his entire thing of like being angry at his father for the way he and his brother were raised and treated, for what is implied, but again, never committed to, the idea that his father is the cause of his mother's death. Um, and because of his father killing the lion being kind of the last straw, he becomes Craven because of that. Because I guess for some reason he's very against killing animals for some reason. I don't understand that, because it's like that goes entirely against Craven's entire character. It's like some changes, okay, fine, whatever. Like I can even understand, okay, you're making him a vigilante because you're doing that with all of these Marvel villains. You did that with Morbius, you did that with Venom. It's like, okay, I get it, whatever. That's what you're going for. But like making it so that he doesn't hunt animals and doesn't kill animals and actually hates people who do, it's like, what? No, Craven would absolutely fucking kill an animal. Like like an accurate Craven, if he was attacked by the leopard or whatever it was that attacked him there, um he would have absolutely killed it right then and there without question. I don't mind like Aaron Taylor Johnson being, more like standardly muscular and fit for this rather than, Craven's normally hulking body. That I don't mind at all. Um I like the kind of development of Dimitri through this. I like that he starts as, very timid and cowardly and everything, but by the end, through all of this experience, is able to find his courage and is able to become Chameleon, ending up using the same doctor that Alexei used. So that's interesting. Um, Getting to even showcase Chameleon's powers. Again, not the best effects. Just, it's not. But I don't mind that because it's a comic book movie. Like, this is something that's never made sense to me. Everybody going into comic book movies complaining, oh, the effects are bad. It's like, it's a fucking comic book movie. Why are you expecting the best possible effects? For one, and for two, why do you want that? Comic book movies should be cheesy. They should be corny. They should be kind of ridiculous. Because comic books are. Even the most serious, most intense stories from comics, like, let's say, Death in the Family, as an example, for DC. Um, Even the most intense and serious stories from comic books are still cheesy. They're still goofy. And it's like, yeah, because like even with Death in a Family, which is a very serious story, it's like you still have a dude dressing up as a bat. You still have fucking Joker. It's like Joker alone is goofy AF, even in his most serious moments. It's like, really? And even if you want to make the argument, it's like, oh, but this is being adapted into a big Hollywood feature. They should be able to put like all this money into making the effects look great. It's like, okay, but if the effects were the absolute best possible, it would kind of feel less comic booky. And then you would just be complaining that it doesn't feel like the source material. People do shit like that, by the way. There are people who will complain no matter what. If the movie like is super accurate, they'll complain that it's not doing enough interesting things, that it's just copying the comics. If it's not super accurate, they'll complain that, oh, but why aren't you just sticking to the comic storyline? Why aren't you just doing what the comics do? Why are you changing so much? I have seen this happen so much with the MCU in particular. It is crazy. I can even give you examples. I can even give you examples. Um, She-Hulk. The She-Hulk series is super comic accurate. Probably one of the most comic accurate pieces in the MCU. People bitched about it. Why is She-Hulk twerking? What's with the fourth wall breaking? It's like it's fucking She-Hulk. She does that. It's like, oh, you get a super comic accurate one, and then you're bitching about it. But then, um, some of these same people, when stuff like Brave New World, Captain America: Brave New World come out, it's like, oh, Steve Rogers is Captain America, not Sam Wilson. Although that's also comic accurate, by the way. Sam Wilson has been Captain America a lot in the comics, but it's like, but they're one not acknowledging that, and two like saying things like, why can't you keep it comic accurate and just have Steve Rogers continue to be him? And it's just like there's no pleasing them. And there's, I guess, a lot of reasons people have been saying like they don't like this movie in particular. Um, Talking about writing and dialogue and stuff like that, the effects. None of that I had an issue with. I mean, there were some lines that were maybe said a little weird, but that you could find that in literally any movie. Like, seriously. It's just one of those cases where I feel like critics are doing what critics do best and hive minding this. What I mean is, like, critics tend to form opinions before they see the movies, and a lot of like regular viewers do this too because of the critics. Tend to form opinions before they even see the movie, and no matter what the movie actually showcases, a lot of them will not change their views because they've already formed those opinions and they have to stick to it because everybody else is sharing those opinions. They hive minded and just like form this popular opinion no matter what the movie actually shows them. And because they post these opinions prior to the movie's like full release, because they get to see the movies early, regular people end up seeing these reviews, these critiques, these opinions, and they form those opinions prior to ever seeing the movie themselves. And there are always exceptions. There are critics out there who fully admit that it's like, oh, I expected to hate this movie, but ended up liking it a lot more. Or I expected to love this movie, but ended up hating it. That does happen. But it's honestly getting more and more rare. Because everybody just wants to have the popular opinion. If a movie is popularly seen as good, everyone's going to say it's good whether they actually think so or not. Whether they've even seen it or not. I've literally heard people say, oh, everyone says The Godfather is one of the best movies of all time, so it must be true. I've literally heard people say that. I've literally had people put The Godfather in their favorite movies of all time despite having never fucking seen it. That is insane to me. That kind of hive minding is insanity. And it's the same with like bad movies. People do the same thing for movies that are universally seen as bad. They'll never see the movie, but because they automatically assume it's bad because, oh, their favorite reviewer says it's bad and they've never steered me wrong before. It's like, how do you exist just following people's like lead like that? How do you like, I don't understand how someone can like just completely follow another person to that much of a degree, or, you know, a group of people, or just the popular opinion in general, and not have any like difference of viewpoint. How do you exist in that way? Maybe it makes no sense to me because I'm very opinionated and I tend to have opinions that are very different from the popular norm a lot of times. But still, it makes no sense to me to like form your opinions based on other people's and just go along with whatever the popular thought is rather than, you know, form your own. That makes no logical sense to me. But going back to this movie, because I feel like I haven't talked too much about the film in and of itself. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Like, there were some slow parts. There were some parts that again, maybe the dialogue was a little weirdly delivered. But that's more on the delivery than the writing, I feel. Like I said, I do think it was maybe a little overstuffed. I don't think they needed all of this stuff. Like, honestly, they could have taken out, oh my god, I forgot his name already. Kind of proves my point a little bit, doesn't it? They could have taken out the, oh my god, hold on. Give me a second here to bring this back up. The foreigner. They could have taken him out completely, wouldn't have changed a thing. He really didn't do anything. I also feel like the little plot with Calypso, because it didn't really amount to much of anything in the end, felt kind of like pointless as well. It's like it just felt like a reason to bring her character into this because, oh, she's connected to Kraven in the comics. It's like, but you didn't really do anything with it. And you can't just like I hate it when these like studios assume there's going to be a sequel and just automatically like you put a character in the first movie assuming that there's going to be a sequel for them to actually make them much of a character afterwards. And I'm not saying that Calypso didn't do anything in this. I'm not saying that she wasn't a character at all. But again, like I said, it just felt like she was set up to be more. And they just didn't commit to that. I I feel like for it kind of painting the father, Russell Crowe, as being the main villain of this, he kind of wasn't. Like, he was kind of behind everything, but I would not call him the main villain. I would count Rhino as the main villain of this. But it kind of acts like we're supposed to see the father as the main villain, and he's just an asshole. He's just kind of like, you know, a mob boss, drug kingpin asshole. Like, he was kind of behind everything to a degree. Was behind Dimitri's kidnapping, was behind Kraven being hunted by Rhino and his crew. But still, he was just there. And the way he was taken out in the end was very anticlimactic. I mean, I guess I get that's the point. Like, he didn't deserve to have, like, some big send-off considering all, like, the terrible shit he's done and whatnot, but still. I feel like they also could have done more with Kraven's, like, tracking abilities. Like, all they did with it was have his, like, supervision and everything. It's like, I feel like they could have had like more showcased with how he tracks people and like tracking like a person's footprints and stuff and like little clues here and there. I feel like that would have been better than the weird supervision shots, which were just weird. Um, but yeah, it's like it wasn't too bad as it was. It just I feel like it could have been done a little better. And I feel like all the like negatives I have with this movie are just that. It could have been done a little better. This movie was about 2 hours long. Honestly, if they added in like another half hour, they probably could have added enough to make a lot of it work a little better. They probably could have added enough to make Calypso more of an actual like love interest to Kraven. They could have made it so that oh, excuse me. So that in the end, his father was more of like an actual like threat and an actual issue, and you know more of like a good final villain. They just needed that just a little bit more. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, but you want it to be 2.5 hours long?" It's like I don't care. Like, why is that an issue some people have? It's like, why are you so afraid of long movies? I don't know. But yeah. Um I enjoyed it for what it was. And like I said, it wasn't the best or anything, but it wasn't as bad as Morbius by any means. It was nowhere near the level of Morbius. It was nowhere near as bad as Let There Be Carnage. It was not bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Like, somewhere around a 7 out of 10, I'd say. Maybe even a 7.5. I don't know if I'd go up to an 8, but still. I I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. And considering how people talk about this movie, I really enjoyed it more than I thought I would, I guess. But that kind of like shows that even I can fall into the trap sometimes of like, oh, everybody says this movie is bad, so it's like, oh, I'm waiting, I'm expecting it to be bad. But I'll admit when I'm wrong about that. I'll admit like, oh, it didn't turn out to be bad. I actually enjoyed it. And I feel like it goes without saying, but all the acting performances were good. Like I had no issue with any of the performances in this. Um, I'm gonna have to like maybe watch some like reviews or read some reviews or whatever on why people thought this was bad, like in more detail, because I just don't get it. I don't see it. But for now, we're gonna end this off. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the Kraven the Hunter movie? And yeah, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.